I don't really know where to begin to try to articulate or describe what the experience of learning Yoga Nidra was with Tanis, because it was such a multi-layered, multi-dimensional experience for me. And that isn't surprising because those are qualities that Tanis really holds and embodies in so many ways. And so I will just try, and I will also share a little bit about my own journey to that experience. I had known that I was going to work with her for a long time, maybe a few years before I actually did. And it was this pull that I could feel that wasn't really intellectual. It didn't really make sense. I was a practicer of Yoga Nidra for many, many years, but I didn't really understand why I was being drawn to the training because at that time it wasn't necessarily something that I was um, working with in my work. It was in some ways, um, what's the word? It was foreshadowing a lot of where my work was going, but I didn't know it at the time, and I could feel the pull towards her and working with her. So I was aware of it, but I didn't necessarily follow it because it wasn't the time. And over the years, it just got a little bit louder, a little bit louder. And then, of course, she came into my field in multiple ways and in a short amount of time. And I knew that it was a time. And so I reached out to her to take a training with her. This was when she was doing them live. And she isn't a beginner's teacher, which I think was also intimidating to me because although I was a beginner with Yoga Nidra, I wasn't a beginner in what she was sharing through the practice and through her teachings. I had been exploring a lot of my own inner world, and I had been curious about the nature of consciousness for a while. And so the sort of the ego part of me was like, I don't know if I can learn from her because I'm not far enough along. But now I see the fact that I was drawn to her, the fact that she had pulled me, like through the energetic field, I was being pulled towards her, was enough. So if there's any sense of worry that you're not far enough along, or that you don't fully understand everything she's saying or her practices, you know there's more to receive from returning to them over and over and over again. I just know that I see you, and it's such a normal part of the process. But if you're feeling called towards her, that is something calling you there, and to trust that, because she isn't a beginner's teacher. If you're just looking for Yoga Nidra as a form of rest, and that's it, that's you're going to get so much more than that. And so if you're open to receiving that and ready to receive that, then she is the one for you. And so through going through the training with her, and then the portal, and learning Nidra through her, it's like it was such an eye-opening experience for my own healing journey, because sure, I was learning about how to be a guide, but in that learning, I was also unlocking so much in myself, and um, really starting to distill and understand and feel and sense all of the layers within and relate to them in different ways, so that I actually really started to become more of the observer of my whole, sorry about that, process. And so um, the teachings that she teaches are so, like, the practice comes from ancient teachings. And the way that she teaches them are a transmission from her direct experience with the teachings. And she offers everything as a prayer, everything as like reverence for where the practice came from, and the ancients that carried the codes of this practice before. And so you really feel that in everything she's saying. She's not just giving you like the mental scape of how to either move through the practice yourself or how to guide it, whichever you're called to do. She's sharing like a direct transmission of the practice that's coming through her, and it's so beautiful to receive on multiple layers. You're receiving it in the mind as you're understanding it, and you're also receiving it through the body, through the cells, as a direct transmission that will change you, that will land so deeply within you. So it's rich, it's full, it's got so many practices, and it's just such a transformative experience, as an experience just for yourself, and also if you're looking to be a guide in this practice. So there aren't many guides that I can drop in and truly allow my system to trust them to guide me somewhere. And she is one of those people. I've listened to so many, and I know immediately if they've walked, if their soul has walked what they're asking you to do, and hers has. And that for me provides an immense amount of safety, an immense amount of trust to open myself up to what she's teaching. So both in her nidras as a guide, but also in her teachings, when she's teaching, I listen, not just with my ears, but I listen with all of me so that it can land, because I trust. And I do think this is rare to find teachers that truly are an embodiment, a walking embodiment of what they're sharing, because they know, because they've sat with it, because they've done it. And so, yeah, I can't recommend her training enough. She is a dear friend of mine, but she's also someone that I turn to for counsel, and I turn to her teachings and her practices over and over and over again. So if you're curious, if you're finding the pull towards her, I sincerely invite you to listen to that, because it is a rich, rich experience that has a ripple effect in ways that you won't be able to know until you step in, until you say yes, until you listen to the call that you are feeling and sensing deep within.